This is the host of The Simpsons Did It podcast, here to talk to you about Anchor. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. 1, it's free. 2, there's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you, so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and many more. You can even make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast, all in one place. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor:/FM to get started. Welcome to another episode of The Simpsons Did It. I'm your host, Steven Skolansky.
And I'm your co-host, Robert Skolansky.
So we got some amazing news off the top of the episode for you guys. So we're already becoming syndicated.
Woo!
And then reruns,
Yep.
because gotta keep us, on every channel. Well,
Yep.
we're only on one. We're only being syndicated on one network right now. We got they reached out to us from Cuyahoga Valley Radio Network, and they liked our podcast. They asked if we could join their network, and absolutely, I said yes.
Oh, yeah.
So you can hear us Mondays at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. 8 o'clock Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. So check us out on there. You can listen to the Cuyahoga Valley Radio Network on the Live 365 app, Simple Radio app, or on their website, cuyahogaValleyRadio.com. So come check us out on there every Monday. It'll be awesome to hear us. I would say live, but not.
It's not really live.
And it's going to be starting from episode 1. So like I said, reruns. So if you want to hear us again, that would be great. This is give everyone a heads up. This recording is as of July 10th. So July 13th is when we go live on the network. So by then it'll probably be about 5 episodes deep.
Yeah.
Which is cool. Also want to point out to thank all of our listeners so far. We are at 94 downloads as of today, with a couple days left for 4 episodes out. So that's amazing. Hoping to get to 100 by the end of the week. Thank you to all of our current followers as well. We're at 90 on Facebook, 77 on Instagram. It's phenomenal that we're getting all this feedback. People really seem to enjoy the show.
Yeah. Which is good. Thank you, guys.
Which is amazing. Thank you. And hopefully we can branch out and get into more stuff and shenanigans as we go on. So make sure to check out Facebook and Instagram. We are doing almost daily stuff. We got Sundays our release date. Mondays we got Mondays. And then Tuesday is Trivia Tuesday. Wednesday we got Watch Me Wednesday, featured for Robert. Thursday, really haven't made an absolute decision on yet.
Maybe that's our break day.
That's our break day. And then Fridays is Feedback Fridays, where we'll reach out with a post. And if you guys can let us know how you like each episode, that would be great. And then we got Saturdays, where we tell you all about Homer's does, which there are many of them. So
there are many of them.
We'll keep them coming as it goes. So why don't we head into this week's episode, Season 1, Episode 10, called Homer's Night Out.
Oh, boy.
I know. Homer's Night Out. This could only end badly.
Well, I mean, it's Homer. When does it ever end well for Homer?
Yep. So the air date for this one, March 25th, 1990. Give you a quick recap. Shutterbug Bart captures Homer with a sexy entertainer at a bachelor party.
I mean, who amongst us hasn't been to a bachelor party or even bachelorette party where, somebody gets into a compromising position with an entertainer?
But it's Homer, so...
Yeah.
All right, so the chalkboard gag this week. I will not call my teacher hotcakes. Okay, so for those of you that don't know, Mrs. Krabappel is Bart's teacher. I would not necessarily think of her as hotcakes. Maybe that was the joke that Bart was trying to make. Sup hotcakes, I don't know, but got him into hot water and writing it over and over again on the chalkboard. The couch gag this week is another repeat. I feel like season 1, they just did not have the, I don't know, mind to come up with more.
I mean, it was their first season. Maybe they didn't think they were going to last. They weren't going to go past the second season. So they're like, we'll reuse stuff. Nobody will notice.
Oh, we noticed.
We always notice.
So they sat down on the couch and it falls apart. They bought another horrible couch.
Yep.
So the episode opens with Homer and Marge in the bathroom. Homer steps on the scale. 239 pounds. I'm a blimp. What are all the good things so tasty? So then he's like, exercise every morning. But, it's funny because Marge she doesn't care. She likes her big cuddly teddy bear.
I do like the fact that, so we open and they're talking about Eugene Fisk, because he's talking about how he's going on his night out. And as we'll see when we talk about Bart, they go to 6 months later, and in 6 months' time, Homer's assistant went to his boss.
Yep. I know.
How?
It seems like people at the power plant are either getting fired or promoted faster than Homer is, because
Homer's not great at his job.
No. I mean, and the funny thing is we really, and we kind of noticed this through the course of the entire show, we really don't see him at work.
No.
Horribly much, which is fine. I mean, that doesn't necessarily have to be part of the story, but it seems like he almost might be content as well as bad at his job. Like he doesn't feel the need to grow in his position, but apparently the people around him do. But I also like the fact that his now boss met a girl and is now marrying him 6 months later. Like that's a pretty quick turnaround.
I mean,
and I do like
sometimes when you know.
Yep. But I do like 6 months later, it doesn't seem like he gained or lost any. He didn't gain or lose any weight. He steps on the scale again. It's 239 pounds, which, if I were a heavyset guy and I didn't necessarily, gain or lose weight, I don't know. Well, Homer says he wants to exercise and eat healthier, which I'm assuming he doesn't.
No.
But the fact that he might not have changed his outlook, he didn't gain or lose any weight. So I feel like that might be a win for him instead of, oh my God.
So here's the thing. I mean, obviously we don't see what happens in that 6 months. And a lot of the time with exercising and trying to lose weight, a lot of the times you just gain that weight back. Because you're I lost the weight. I don't need to, keep watching. And then you go right back into your old habits and you gain the weight right back.
Either that or you exercise to lose weight, but then you gain muscle mass back.
But looking at Homer, it does not look like he gained any muscle mass.
No, probably not. So we cut to Bart in his room reading who knows what comic book, but
probably Radioactive Man.
Probably Radioactive Man. But the funny thing is obviously I'm assuming the show takes place in the 90s, and I didn't read much of comic books in the 90s, but I know for a fact in like the 60s, 70s, and 80s, the ads in the back of the comic books were a huge thing.
Yeah.
And so the products Bart sees in the back of the comic book, X-ray TV glasses. First off, X-ray glasses were in the back of those comic books.
Yeah.
I mean, they were sold, but they went a step further to say, you know what? You could only use X-ray glasses on your television.
I don't think that would work.
Which, hey, I mean, if you're watching Xena, you want to see Lucy Lawless or Clarissa Explains It All, some Melissa Joan Hart. I'm not going to judge anyone.
No, but
for attempting that.
X-ray glasses. Don't
fake.
Fake.
But Bart says fake to all these.
Yeah.
Up until the but then he's like hypnocoin, spy camera, and he's like, oh my God, definitely of all the things on the. I mean, tiny cameras. Now the funny thing about this camera it wasn't Polaroid because he was with Martin and the dweebs.
But here's the thing: he took pictures of The Simpsons, and like the show would show a still shot of what he took.
Well, yeah, I mean that's more just if you're looking through the camera, that's what you see, but they're not
Yeah,
developed until till the club. You
true.
know what I mean? So the funny thing, the real funny thing is a camera that tiny. Now I didn't look into it, but I work at Best Buy, and I would say a camera of that well, maybe they were around in the 90s. Like I said, I didn't do
I
the research on it, but I could
Yeah.
almost say this was like future alert as well, like
Yeah, I got to
something.
imagine. I remembering the '90s, cameras in the '90s are freaking huge.
Yeah, and even if they're film cameras, which is fine, they still didn't get to a tinier size till probably late 90s, early
I would even go
2000s.
early 2000s.
Yep. So I would give this a semi future alert because
Yeah,
we don't know what the FBI and the CIA had.
they
I
have
I can't.
everything.
They have everything, so I'm not going to say that the spy camera technology did not exist. But I'm saying for the general owner, the general public owning,
Yeah.
I would say future alert.
So I do also want to point out that when Bart goes, "Ooh, the spy camera," he smashes his piggy bank again, and as you can see, it's taped up.
Yep. So that's from, if you guys can remember, that was from the No Disgrace Like Home episode where they're looking for money to spend on a therapist. But
So,
man, putting that thing back together must have been a pain. Good
and,
God.
and the other thing too, The Simpsons don't do a lot of continuity. So to see that, I was just like, wow, they actually kind of did a little continuity. Obviously, nowadays it's every episode is pretty self-contained,
You know, but
but I
back
was like,
then, I mean, there was a lot of different things going on. I do like, well, okay, so do you remember, was it Bart that said the female mailman?
yeah,
I think that's what it was, and then Lisa kind of corrected him. No, it's just the female. I don't know what she said. I can't remember what
uh,
she said now. But it was really funny because nowadays with gender, specifics, nowadays it seems like we would say female mailman,
probably. But it's the male person.
a male person or male person.
Yeah,
And then they go into the spy camera gag, which Bart
yeah.
had and the mail lady had
Every
for the
day, you ask me
where
where your spy camera is. Here it is. Oh,
here's
thank you, ma'am. And he
it's
shuts the
where
door.
it's like, where's my spy camera? Where's
Where's
my
my
spy
spy?
camera? Where's my spy camera?
But what
Here's
ain't
your damn
is
spy camera.
And then he goes, "Oh, thank you." And then he
Thank you.
slams the door in her face. I'm like, "Yeah, that's classic Bart."
But that also, I mean, to be honest, I didn't really start saying hi to my mailman like a friendly person until I was a grown up. So I
I
feel
don't
like
even
if
think I
I,
say hi to my male person. I don't think I've
well,
ever interacted with a male person.
I mean, I do if I'm home and around, and they're pretty friendly. But
Yeah.
definitely as a kid, Bart was like, eh. So he busts out his spy camera. First picture he takes is of his eye. He's like, ooh, cool, snap.
Yep. Oh no,
And
because he
then,
wanted to see if it actually worked.
which obviously the funny part about it is you don't know if it actually worked until you develop the film.
Yes.
So then we get a picture of Homer exercising because he's trying to get into shape,
Yep.
and then a run over squirrel.
Well,
Because
I
what?
mean, he's an 8-year-old boy.
Who doesn't
Like,
want to take a picture of dead animals on the
yeah.
road? And then obviously the coup d'état, his
But
butt.
I mean, to be fair, at 8 years old, yeah, I probably was immature enough that I'd probably try to do that too.
So one thing I don't know if you noticed, but when Marge and Homer are in the bathroom before the bachelor party, Marge uses an electric razor to shave her armpits.
I did. I know she was shaving. I didn't realize it was electric.
Yep. So once again, I'm assuming lady electric razors existed in the 90s. I mean, men's did, so I'm
Yeah.
assuming women's did. And they've been around forever.
Oh,
So at the bachelor party, Carl's voice does not sound like Carl.
and neither does Lenny. Lenny's voice
Yes.
is also not his. But this is the first appearance we get of Carl Carlson.
Yep, but what okay, could you tell what his voice was? I was almost thinking like almost like a Homer or a Mo.
Well, Lenny's sounded more like Mo. Carl's, I don't. It was like a mix.
Yeah, it was
I don't
really
know who
weird.
actually does the voice of Carl and Lenny. Um,
Yeah,
but Like,
We'll
yeah,
look that
their
up and get
voices were
back to
definitely
you.
different, which is weird because I'm pretty sure in the first episode Lenny appears in, that voice act, the voice sounds like it does now. So
Yeah.
I don't know what happened in between those episodes.
Yeah, it seems really weird unless someone was sick or they're like, let's try something different. But what we're not going to do on this show, just kind of put it out there, we're not going to get political and stuff like that
Oh
with
no.
what's going on. But the funny thing is you could definitely tell that it was a white person doing Carl's voice in this episode. But then when it changes to the normal one, it sounds like a black person
Yeah.
doing it, which that's what we need. Just the sound, just
Yeah.
animation. But anyway,
So
so go ahead.
so they sit down to dinner and Marge and Lisa order something, seafoody, and Bart's like, I want the squid. And it's like, now I've had squid. I like squid. I love calamari because it's deep fried squid. But like at 8 years old, would you look at a menu and say, "Oh, there's squid on here. I'll have the squid."
But I think it's more of a joke because as we learn later when we get to you know, Itchy and Scratchy Land, Bart orders, the baby guts, I think. Or no, Bart orders the baby guts and everyone's like, ew. So I think a food gag is something that is pretty continuous
Yeah.
in this
So
show.
so after they order, there's a sign behind Bart, which I don't know any restaurant that actually puts their specials on a sign at the booth. It's usually at the front of the restaurant, and it's a cod platter for $4.95, which that is cheap compared to
But I think
today's prices.
in the 90s though, price inflation, man. I'm
Yeah,
sure a cod platter costed that much in the
yeah.
90s.
And Bart changes it to say "cold pet rat."
Yep.
I also liked how the bathrooms at the Rusty Bucket were labeled buoys and gulls.
Yeah.
Like,
like
but like, how would you like? I get like obviously boys and girls, but like,
I
and
think buoy.
I've seen restaurants do stuff like that. It's like, can't you just do men's and women's, boys and
Well,
girls?
okay,
Like,
so I was trying to think of how they were thinking. Now, obviously, we do want to try to keep this show as clean as possible,
yeah,
but I feel like buoys is like kind of like a joke on testicles. You know what I mean? Because it
probably.
bounces in water, maybe.
I don't
But
know.
gulls, I don't quite know unless it's
It's a
like
bird.
yeah. Well, no. Like they're squawky birds. Women squawk, squawk, squawk. Talk,
Yeah,
I
I
don't know.
think
I don't
men
want to
do
be.
more squawking than women.
So don't know where those names absolutely came from, but they were
I mean, they're
pretty
they're
funny.
they're they're seafood, or they're like sea related items.
Yes, and they kind of sound like boys and girls.
Correct.
Maybe I'm thinking too deeply.
We're probably thinking too deeply on this.
All right, so Maggie sucks on a piece of fish instead of her pacifier in the episode.
Well, she doesn't have teeth.
No,
She's got to eat.
well, I don't think a baby of Maggie's age would be eating fish either.
I mean,
Well, especially a whole fish with
yeah,
the skin on it. But it could have been a rubber pacifier type fish too. We don't know.
we don't know.
All right, so Bart sneaks in, takes a picture of his dad dancing with Princess Jasmine
We'll learn later. We'll learn about
or
later.
Casimir. Sorry, Princess
This
Casimir.
Cashmere. I was gonna say Jasmine. What is this,
Jasmine,
Aladdin?
yeah.
What are we
Yep.
watching, Aladdin now? I like the fact that the groom and the dad don't like the bachelor party, and they say they're in hell.
I know. It's
Like,
so fun. Like, why would you even,
allow it. It's your bachelor
allow?
party.
Yep. And who's your best man that planned this bachelor party?
Like, it seems like Carl and like it seems like the guys at the power plant planned this, and they're like, "Oh yeah, we're gonna get special entertainment." Like, it's your bachelor party. You tell your best man what you want, and then the best man plans the bachelor party.
Yep. So the picture is about to get out there, and Bart, tells Milhouse or shows Milhouse.
Yeah,
He's like, "Oh, can I get a copy of that?" And so they go to the copying machine. The copy machine reads 5 cents at the front, and it's 10 cents on the coin slot. So does the coin slot only take dimes, and you have to get 2 copies?
I mean, it's possible. I don't know why you would do that. I've never seen a coin operated printing or copying machine. Granted,
Oh,
I
I
never
have.
go to Kinko's or anything like that,
Oh,
but
I've definitely seen them. But the weird thing is, I kind of wanted to know if they were at school, which the background, yes, they were at school, but it seems like I don't think there would be a copy machine at a school that costs money. I
no,
think
I
most copies would
no,
be free at a school.
yeah, I don't know.
So I do like so now the picture's getting around and it's pretty much everywhere. And Homer's walking around town and everyone's, kind of saying woo ooh, la
Ooh,
la and stuff. But
yeah,
I like how Homer is confused with Fred Flintstone. Like I never personally, if I was thinking of the Simpsons family being related to anyone, I would think more George Jetson, like the Jetsons family,
yeah,
than the Flintstones. To
yeah.
me, anyway.
Well, but I mean, Fred works at the quarry. Homer works at a power plant. I mean,
Maybe.
they both have kids. They both have a dog. Well, Fred has a dinosaur as a pet. Uh, and they're both kind of idiots.
Yes.
I wouldn't say
Oh,
George
maybe.
Jetson is an idiot or incompetent, but Fred Flintstone, I would definitely go the incompetent route with him.
Oh, I feel it might be. I mean, I feel like George Jetson and Spacely Sprocket do have that Mr. Burns Homer Simpson relationship. Aside from Sprocket knows
Who
Jetson's
George Jetson?
name,
Yeah,
yeah. So when Homer's at the Quickie Mart, you see a framed copy picture of Homer dancing with Princess Casimir displayed behind Apu at the Quickie Mart. You also see it at Moe's. So this picture really has spread like wildfire. It's
oh
so
yeah,
funny that Homer just is so oblivious to it. Because to be
but
honest,
it's
Homer,
Homer.
but yes, that's it is Homer, and yes, he's oblivious to most things. But as a guy at a bachelor party and you're dancing with a stripper, you're not necessarily thinking I did something wrong.
Yeah,
Obviously, Marge has a completely different opinion, but Homer probably, even if he saw the picture, would be like, "Oh, this is cool. This is not a big deal."
yeah,
But then he goes home and Marge, gets really upset. And I do love the fact that there's still no Bart strangulation yet. Homer was literally this close
yeah,
to going after it,
yeah,
and Marge kind of steps in and starts strangling Homer,
yeah.
which is hilarious. I don't know if it was necessarily foreshadowing for Homer's eventually going to strangle Bart, since we haven't gotten that yet.
I think it was just Marge was pissed at Homer and strangled him.
Yep. So Homer gets, kicked out of the house.
Yeah,
We're at episode 10, and I swear, Homer's marriage has been in more deep water in the first 10 episodes. I don't know how Marge can stand it. I mean, this is amazing. They've been to
yeah.
therapy. Homer, almost committed suicide. Um, it,
Yeah, it's just like now. Here's the question: You're married. Let's say one of your friends had a bachelor party, and you got caught on camera with an entertainer. I don't think your wife would get upset with you. I'm sure you would tell her, "Hey, there's going to be entertainment."
yes, and I mean, I've never really been to many bachelor parties aside from my own, and we went to the track, so
Yeah,
I don't know if that would ever necessarily happen. But it is kind of funny that Marge is a homemaker
yeah.
wife. I think just the way she grew up, just kind of point. And the funny thing is, we don't know this yet,
Oh
but
yeah,
the way that she was treated by like Artie Ziff, it really kind of shows how bad something like Homer dancing with an exotic dancer is in her system
yeah.
because of what Artie Ziff did to her, which obviously
Later,
we'll learn later. So Homer gets kicked out, goes to Moe's. It's ladies' night. On,
unescorted.
and I didn't. So I tried typing this into my phone to see if it was actually a real word. Autocorrect on my text message doesn't actually have unescorted as a real word.
I mean, I don't.
I
I
feel
don't, I
like
don't
it
think he
is.
would. I don't think he'd be like, "Oh yeah, she was unescorted to the ball." I would think. I think he would say, "Yeah, she was not escorted to the ball." I
Yeah,
don't think
but
unescorted is a real word.
yep. And then, but ladies drink free. So if you just showed up at Moe's and you were a lady, you get to drink free. I mean, I feel like if I was a woman, getting drunk at night, I'd be like, okay, we're gonna take separate cars. We're gonna show up to this bar late,
Yeah.
and then you know what I mean?
But also, here's the thing: Moe's bar is I would consider a dive bar where all the I wouldn't say degenerates, but like you know, not necessarily the most attractive men would hang out.
Yes.
Um, uh, Mo still has a pink apron, and they still have the Western style swinging doors. Why I don't know that is animated that way. Because
Yeah.
I like obviously in later episodes, you walk through the push door, you're in the bar.
Yep. So
Like,
we're keeping a pin on this one pretty close.
so afterwards, Homer is talking to Barney. Barney's like, "Oh yeah, you can stay with me," and they go to Barney's apartment, and God, is it it was worse than my apartment when I had an apartment. Holy God,
I mean,
that
there
was
was
disgusting.
I get that Barney's an alcoholic, but man, it was just food boxes, clothes, just thrashed everywhere. And this is my favorite quote of the entire episode right here. In
Yeah.
case you get hungry, there is an open beer in the fridge. Like
I mean,
now,
technically, beer is made with yeast, and therefore it is liquid bread. So therefore, if you're hungry, have a beer.
I mean, oh my god, that was hilarious. Like, I mean, granted, Barney's an alcoholic, so he might just think everything's a food.
Yeah,
But man, if you're, I mean, I had to think twice. Like, I heard that again, and I was like, oh my god. And I like paused it, rewind it, and
yeah.
so I can get the quote right. But it would that just got me laughing. That was just hilarious.
Also, Barney's hair is now brown. So we got 10 episodes in, and Barney now has brown hair.
The animators are finally getting to speed a little bit.
So after that, he goes to work the next day, and Smithers calls Homer up to Burns' office, and Burns chews him out in front of Smithers, and then sends Smithers away. And Burns is like, "You have to teach me. How do you get these women?" Like Homer is some like big, you know, womanizer, and I love the fact that Homer tells Burns the best way to get a girl is to wine them, dine them, bring them flowers, and write them poetry. Now, I'm sure there are a lot of women out there who enjoy that sort of stuff, and I'm sure there's women who would prefer maybe going to a sporting event or going to a protest, or
But you got to remember
obviously
though, Burns
everybody
is
is different.
but Burns is old. That's like the okay. We don't know actual Burns's age really, but
He's
I'm
200
guessing.
years old.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So in the 1910s, 1920s, okay, maybe Burns 1930s. But that was the way wine and
Yeah.
dine, like especially with his wealth.
Oh yeah.
That would be the standard for Mr. Burns. And even Homer, I mean, we learned that as a young teenager slash college young guy, I mean, Homer was a romantic. Like
Yeah.
he knew what he was doing.
And then also this, I believe this is the first time we hear Sector 7G, which is the sector Homer works in.
Yep. So
So
we finally know where Homer works. And then Mr. Burns says he'll never forget their conversation.
yeah.
But so Mr. Burns must have like Alzheimer's.
Well, no, because he knows who. Like, here's the thing: he knows who Carl is. He knows who Lenny is. He knows who Mr. Smithers is. He knows who people are. Like the episode, there's an episode where Burns sends a thank you card to The Simpsons, and he remembers Marge. He remembers
Yep.
Bart. He remembers Lisa. He even remembers Maggie, but he forgets Homer's name. I just think he hates Homer so much that the moment Homer walks out of the room, he's just like, I hate that guy. I'm just going to forget his name. I don't want to know his name.
Which is funny because I mean, through 10 episodes, he's seen Mr. Burns a numerous amount of times,
Yeah.
especially the safety episode. He
Yeah.
knows who he is. It's just really funny that even like Mr. Burns says, "I won't forget this conversation." the next episode,
Yeah.
he will. So Homer finally makes it home, and obviously he's sorry. He doesn't. The funny thing I noticed was
Yeah.
he has a wrinkly shirt. That must have been the animation style they went with, because
Oh
Homer.
yeah.
I mean,
Oh, for sure.
I know Homer had change of clothes. Marge threw clothes out at him, but since Homer only wears the same outfit every day,
Yeah.
maybe he decided to keep on that shirt. That's the only
Yeah.
thing I could think of
Because
to
like
come
I
up.
think I think in the animation, like part of his sleeve on his shirt is also ripped.
In one day. Come on. Well, I guess we
It's
don't really know how many days it's been. It seems like it's only been one day because he goes to the
yeah.
bar, goes to Barney's, then to work.
But also don't forget we had a time lapse with the 6 months.
Yeah, so we don't necessarily know how long it's been. I feel like it's only been a couple days, if that.
Probably. It's Homer though. He's a slob.
Yep. So Bart or Homer finally figures out what he did wrong,
Yeah.
and he wants to teach Bart a lesson about dancing girls. So he
Yep.
takes him to pretty much every. I didn't know there was that many strip clubs in or
Springfield.
burlesque houses in Springfield, which is really funny because the only other burlesque house that we know about is in a future episode of The Simpsons that just randomly shows up.
Wasn't that
Like,
the monorail episode?
no, that was
No.
not. It was all about that. So I'd
Yeah.
like to. I'm excited to rewatch that episode because I kind of want to see if anything from this episode really sticks out as crossing over.
Probably not.
Um.
I'm gonna go
So
with not.
yeah, we'll have to see. So I do like that Bart is trying to get a look at all the chicks at
Yeah.
every single place. Like Homer's asking where this dancer is, and Bart's just in the
Yeah.
foreground, kind of just
Homer yells at him at one. What did I tell you? You keep your eyes on the floor.
floor. But I mean, you're bringing your kid to a strip club. What do you
Yeah.
expect?
Yeah.
But then when they finally get to the right place, Homer runs up to Princess Cashmere
Yeah.
and is like, "Oh, I want to teach my son a lesson." The cage goes up. Homer falls off, and then the entertainer was like, "Oh, it's
It's
Homer
you.
Simpson. It's you. You could have fun." And Homer does a can with the episode. Bart once again is kind of, he's like, "Oh, my dad's an awesome guy." Like,
Yeah.
but see, son to father, it's almost like, okay, this is good.
Yeah.
Whereas Marge sees it as you shouldn't be teaching your son to treat girls like objects, which
Yeah.
yes, that is a very good lesson.
Yes.
But when you're 8 and you see your dad kind of as a cool guy, I would
Oh
say,
yeah.
it I mean, the situation he has is not the best, but the overall situation where Bart's like, "Oh, I can look up to my father because he's cool," is something. I mean, personally, like, I don't want my son to be like, "Oh, he's a dad. He's
Yeah.
a dweeb guy." I want him to think I'm not that I'm going to go around, with entertain
Objectifying women.
exactly. But I do want him to think that I'm a cool guy, and obviously
Yeah.
Homer didn't expect to be on stage, but I think
No.
the guy thing kicked in and was like,
Yeah.
"Oh, I'm going to do the can," and then Marge walks in and
Yeah.
he's like, "Okay, stop the show. We gotta fix this problem."
Yeah.
And
And then you see, before all that, you do see Burns and Smithers in the crowd with twins, and like obviously we know now Smithers is gay, but like, so was this a ruse? Were these twins that Smithers knew or Burns met, or were they exotic dance? Like, we don't know who these women are.
which is kind of funny. I kind of want to know if Burns used Homer's moves. Who knows?
Yeah, and then the episode ends with Homer giving an impassioned speech, and all the men in the audience going, "Oh, I need to call my mom. Here's a picture of my daughter. Here's a picture of my daughter." And Marge, as you said, was in the audience, and she runs up on stage and gives Homer, Homer and her start making out in parts out there, like, "All right, move along. Nothing to see here. Nobody wants to see my parents
My parents
kiss."
kiss.
Like, I mean,
Yes.
pretty much, I think any 8-year-old, if they see their parents kiss, their automatic reaction is ew,
Yep.
because you're 8 years old. I
So
mean, I still probably wouldn't want to watch our parents kiss, but
no.
but they're in
Yeah.
love.
Yeah. Exactly. So, all right, we're gonna give our final thoughts. So just to give a little refresher for everyone, as we rate our episodes, we'll be giving them either a one, a doe, 2, eat my shorts. 3, don't have a cow man. 4, Mr. Sprinkles. Or 5, everything's coming up Millhouse.
So, I enjoyed this episode, but, Marge getting angry at Homer for dancing with an exotic entertainer at a bachelor party. Now, granted, I believe Homer did lie to Marge that he was
Nothing
going to a
happened.
bachelor party, which I don't think we mentioned, so we'll mention
Nope.
that now. Um, so maybe it wasn't the fact that he danced with her. Maybe it was the fact that Marge was upset because Homer lied to him.
But I have a feeling Homer didn't necessarily know either.
Possibly. So you have that. Uh, I think they did I mean, this wasn't as a serious episode as uh, the bowling episode where Marge goes out with Jacques bowling all the time, and Lisa and Bart are dealing with the fact their parents might get divorced. And
Shh, that's next episode.
the bowling episode? No, we already talked about that one.
Oh, that was last week.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Sorry, everyone. I get my weeks mixed up.
I was like, dude, that was like episode 5. Um, so it was okay. There was some funny parts. The in case you get hungry, there's an open beer in the fridge. That's a great line. But overall, I mean, it wasn't anything memorable. Nothing really stuck out. They've done a few episodes where the marriage has been in trouble, and it kind of seems like a thing that happens a lot in the future. So I'm gonna go with Don't Have a Cow. Yeah, that's a 3. It wasn't terrible. I mean, it had a great message at the end of don't objectify women. I mean, nobody should be objectifying anybody. But it wasn't that laugh out loud one, and it didn't, have the memorable stuff that like 4 or 5 years down the line, you're gonna be like, hey, do you remember that episode of The Simpsons where Homer got caught, dancing with an exotic dancer? Like, I don't know. I go with Don't Have a Cow, man.
All right. Yeah, I mean, I do like how the episode opened. It was really funny. Homer jumping on the scale, you know, Bart's camera
Yeah,
fiasco for the first. I mean, the first 10 minutes, I, it was really funny. It was your standard Simpsons episode where you kind of know shenanigans are about to start,
yeah,
and you kind of get into the seriousness of the episode where Homer's kind of in trouble, and I'm like, again with the
yeah,
Homer in trouble. I mean, the funny thing is they're on episode 10 of the first season, and they're trying to get people hooked, but it seems like up to this point, about half the episodes have been that serious
yeah,
family drama stuff. But because of all the funniness and just the way it was put together,
yeah.
I'm gonna do Don't Have a Cowman as well. Um, but it, like you said, not memorable, but the camera part is very memorable. I do love the spy camera bit. I mean, that was
It was
pretty
a good
funny.
bit. I mean, and it served, as a plot, pusher. But I mean, outside of that, you know,
Yeah. All right. So, like always, we are gonna close out our episode with a character profile, and this episode features the one, the only, the sexy Princess
princesses.
Cashmere. So, as we know, her occupation is belly dancer for hire, and she does seem to work
Oh
a
yeah,
lot of places.
yeah.
Her title is Queen of the Mysterious East.
Which East?
Um,
Like, are we talking like overseas? Are we
I'm
talking New
thinking like,
York?
well, I'm thinking like Aladdin East, because she has
Uh
that, she has that. I mean, when did Aladdin come out? 90? Did it come out in the 90s? I know it came out of the 90s, but
like 94, I think.
grab a year for me. Her real name is Shauna Tifton, which is
Yeah.
funny because we learned that in when she's in the cage. She's also known as April Flowers. So a lot of different names at a lot of different
Yeah.
venues. Her pet peeve is rude people,
I mean, rude
which
people
as
suck.
a yep. Her turn-ons are silk sheets and a warm fireplace.
To be fair, a warm fireplace is very nice.
Yeah. Her costume. occasionally is required to wear bird-like outfits with big wings and a feathery headdress.
Well, she's an exotic dancer. You gotta have costumes.
Yep, and she changes them up frequently, but that one she's occasionally required to wear
Yeah.
to meet all the needs.
So,
So,
where can people listen to us?
well, we are pretty much everywhere now. We're on
What?
yeah, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio. The list goes on. If you find a place where we're not and you would like us to be on it, just let us know. We'll see what we can do to get on that platform. You can also hear us every Monday on the Cuyahoga Valley Radio Network. Sorry, that was
Eventually, you'll say it flawlessly.
I know, I keep messing up that word.
Well, it's Cuyahoga. I mean, that's a weird. I mean, look, I live in Wisconsin. You live in Minnesota. Both places have weird names as well.
Yes.
But
So
Cuyahoga Valley Radio?
Cuyahoga Valley Radio is where you can hear us weekly, Mondays, 7 o'clock Central, 8 o'clock Eastern, on the West Coast at 5 p.m. So check us out. It'll be something that I hope goes on forever.
That'd be great.
Because, I mean, who doesn't want to hear us on the radio?
I'm sure there might be some people who don't want to listen to us, but you know what? That's their prerogative.
Yep. So just actually, just to let everyone know, so on this radio network, just if you guys want to listen to it, they do have modern day hits, 70s, 80s rock, classic, as well as podcasts that they put on there. So support them. They're supporting us, so we thank them. So
yeah, thank you to Cuyahoga Valley Radio.
So until next time, I'm Steven Sklansky.
I'm Robert Sklansky.
And this has been The Simpsons Did It.